Welcome to the space for transformational leaders to unleash their magic, see better client results, work lighter, and live source. We all have a knowing that goes beyond logic. When we trust it, everything changes. The first time I trusted my knowing when it made no logical sense was not long after I had discovered life coaching. I had just gotten divorced. I left the marriage with what seemed like a significant amount of debt. I wanted to become a coach and start my own business, but I was afraid to do that with this debt hanging over my head. One day, I had coffee with a woman a friend of mine had connected me to, who was a relationship expert and a highly spiritual person. And we spoke about all sorts of things, not a one that I remember, but I believe I caught her divine connection. By the way, your clients can catch this from you too. While I was driving home that day, my mind turned to thoughts of my debt. It was far from the first time I had mentally reviewed the list of possible ways to clear my debt so I could move on with my life. I'd been cutting back on Starbucks and nice dinners up until this point, but that wasn't going to cut it. This time, as I considered my options, my mind moved to the thoughts of my retirement accounts, just as it had countless times before. And my car swerved. I was just driving along and my hand jerked on the steering wheel, and out of nowhere, I made a highly noticeable S shape on the highway. Startled, I began to wonder how this had happened, and I got curious. What had I been thinking about when this happened? Oh, my retirement account. Was this a sign? Now, I had thought about cashing out one of my accounts many times. Every time I ruled it out because it was not the smart thing to do. Everybody knows it's dumb to pay early withdrawal penalties. What type of person would do that? So I had ruled it out time and time again, even though it would free me. Even though every time I chose not to get the Starbucks, I was reminded that I was carrying the energy of my past mistake forward, and the money was right there. In fact, the retirement money I gathered from just 2 years teaching was enough to pay the balance after taxes. It was $35K. But again, who does this? It's not smart, and most certainly makes no logical sense that my car swerving on the highway means I should cash out my retirement account. Yet a part of me knew that that's exactly what it meant. I spent more than a week questioning, could this really be a sign? Could I make this decision even though conventional wisdom would frown upon it? Could I choose my freedom over doing the smart thing? It turns out that making a choice from a sourced place rather than a smart place would be the key to everything for me. Up until that point, being smart was kind of like my thing, a default energy, if you know our lingo over here. I did indeed cash out my retirement account, and I freed myself from that debt. And within 2 weeks, I received a job offer for a new job at my former company. Wait for it, with $35K more a year than the job I was in, the exact amount of that retirement account. And what's more, within months, the company I was working for was acquired, and I received a severance package, which honored my years of service at my prior company. I've followed what I now come to call my sourced magic in a decision over the logic, and the money poured back in. In fact, the company also paid for me to go to coaching school. I went on to start my coaching business, and you would have thought I would be shouting from the rooftops, "Hey everyone, follow divine guidance, it worked for me." It may not make sense, but it will serve you well. But I didn't do that because I was an engineer after all, and honoring my inner knowing is what allowed me to start my business in the first place, but it wasn't logical. Over the coming years, I grew my business, and I would alternate between using my intuition and deferring to outside experts with good advice. And I began to notice that the marketing activities that I would do that came from my knowing or came from within would consistently outperform the ones that a coach or expert told me to do. I learned from other people's strategies, but it was my magic that really was fueling my soul. Ultimately, knowing how to learn from experts and integrate the resonant parts with my soul's guidance has been my masterclass. And that's what we hold space for here at Sourced. I've learned how to trust my knowing to get to the bottom of my results. When a big event I was hosting felt stressful and heavy, and I lost 50K in the process, it was my sourced magic that allowed me to see what was out of alignment for myself and make that shift to create the results I wanted. When my marriage fell apart, it was Source that showed me exactly how to navigate the tender moments without losing my center. At Sourced, we believe that what your soul wants is the most practical thing you can do. We provide you with the tools to help you interpret your experiences and shift your energy, giving you access to infinite wisdom and the most elegant solutions to your most pressing business issues. Let's make Source your business partner and source a life you love. Click below to explore our offerings.